Hello and welcome to the GrapeSEED Official Podcast. We have a very special guest on this episode of MeySen Connection. Today we welcome Jeffrey Hash, a longtime MeySen staff member who you might have seen in some of our videos on the platform or from foundation training, specifically the pumpkin song from Unit 5's class example and the teachable moment video from foundation training, where a fly in the classroom meets its end, but the kids ask if it's okay. Jeffrey has been a paragon of great GrapeSEED teaching, and I'm happy he is joining us today. So welcome to the podcast, Jeffrey.
Hello.
So let's get started here with just some basic information. How long have you been at MeySen, and what is your current role?
I have been at MeySen for about 15 years.
Oof.
Actually, about the middle of September was my 15th year. So it's like 15 years.
Into your 16th?
Yeah, just starting my 16th year. And I was a homeroom teacher for about 8 or 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did a couple years of training, GrapeSEED training. Then I moved on to being head teacher of our English department.
Wow. And so currently, is that your role?
Yes, and I also, in the mornings, I also train with the kindergarten teachers or kindergarten department.
Okay.
So that is another role that I'm doing right now.
Many hats. So do you have a favorite GrapeSEED material?
That's a very hard question. There's so many out there that I really like and enjoy teaching from just about every unit, I could say, like multiple pieces.
If you had to pick.
If I had to pick, that's hard. I would say maybe Unit 6 and Unit 16.
Okay, so the whole units. All right.
Yeah, in general, all the pieces from the units. I really enjoy teaching.
Okay, what in Unit 16 do you like specifically?
The reason why I chose these two units was they are focused really on like foods. So I call them the food units.
Mm-hmm.
And kids just love to talk about food. And food is something we eat every day, and it's so relatable. And they know a lot of names, so they're able to relate to. They're able to talk about the food they ate for that day, their favorite foods, and so it's really too easy to start a dialogue with the kids talking about foods.
Yeah, I think especially with Unit 5 being fruits and vegetables, then you transition into Unit 6, and then it's more of the fun things that kids like to eat. So ice cream, hamburgers, things like that. Then they get a little bit more excited when they're talking about what they can put on their donut, like in the jam poem and things like that.
Exactly. And you see their faces just light up when just ready to tell you what they ate for breakfast or their favorite foods or for those reasons, I really like to teach these two units.
Absolutely. Now, we've talked about this with Patricia and Peter, who we've had on before, but decorating your classroom at MeySen is a really big deal there. So can you talk a little bit about what your favorite design was when you were teaching?
This might get a little bit long, but
Go for it.
I used to love decorating my walls with posters from some cartoon or some movie that the kids loved or they liked, And of course, they would come in, they'd be excited to see that. But that wore off after a few days. And I found out over the course of teaching that, especially with GrapeSEED, that if I decorated my wall with things that corresponded with the theme of the unit that we were working on, that the kids were able to relate to it. They could point out things on the wall. They could talk about things. It was just a conversation starter almost. And so I could use wall deck. So example, if we were on Unit 1, putting up animals and family members and things like that, I could just easily relate to something not besides just the cards, the teaching cards. And it was something refreshing. It was exciting. And the kids would point out things too that they see, or if I asked a question, they look around and point out things on my wall deck, and yeah, it was very useful. And I would recommend any other teacher do the same if they have those resources to be able to create their own wall deck based on the unit they're working on or things that the kids can relate to in their everyday life, to be able to start a conversation to reinforce things that they're learning. And I also, sometimes I'd have the kids just stand up and walk around and talk to their friends about stuff. I'd throw out a question and they walk around and ask their friends. And by having all that wall deck, it was just so much easier for the students to be able to converse with each other and point things out. So.
Absolutely. There's an underrated teaching tip you mentioned in there of it's not just that you decorate your walls and that gives you more questions to ask in class. It's your students can look at that wall decoration and they'll start coming up with creative things kind of unprompted at times. And that's just such a great benefit from having such great wall decorations. So great point.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.